Welcome to episode number 50 of Metal and Beer. Guys, I have an awesome special edition episode today. I'm going to share my 7 rules of alcohol. That's going to help a lot of you. And I'm also featuring a local beer from Bay Canyon Beer Company out of the Tampa Bay area here. So a couple weeks ago, I got invited out to a local brewery right here in the Tampa Bay area called Bay Canyon Beer Company. My good friend Joe, he's co-owner of this brewery. So I went out there, took a little mini tour, my wife and I, and Joe sent me home with a few beers to try, and this is one of them, the Xander Hazy IPA. That's what we're going to be tasting today. IPA today. I did not mean to rhyme. We're playing metal, not rap, guys. Come on. Anyway, so let's try this. Actually, I've already tried it, and this is a pretty freaking awesome beer. That hits the spot. So this is definitely one of the more balanced hazy IPAs I've had. I've had several hazy IPAs, and you see it's got kind of that cloudy look to it. I don't know if that's showing good on my camera here. But yes, definitely a lot smoother, a lot more balanced. It's got that slight tropical aroma to it. There's not really that bitterness that you get from a lot of the IPAs. That aftertaste is like, okay, well, it's kind of bitter. You know, they're good, right? But it leaves that bitter aftertaste. But no, this is definitely a smooth hazy IPA. Again, this is Bay Canyon Beer Company. They're based out of West Tampa here. This is one of those beers. I'm out here in my patio now. I could totally just sit out here by the pool and drink 2 or 10 of these hazy IPAs. All right, now we're going to dive right into Jason's 7 rules of alcohol. Now, 2 things real quick. Make sure you hang around to the end of the video. After we go through these 7 rules I'm going to give you, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about my personal experience with alcohol in the past in hopes that will help some of you and just give you some of my personal thoughts on alcoholism in general. Now, secondly, these rules are really designed to help us all enjoy our alcohol and drink responsibly and not go overboard. Rule number 1, drink craft beer, not crap beer. Now, I came up with this rule many years ago, and I'll tell you more about that in my personal story at the end of the 7 rules here. But let me break it down to you like this. Have you ever walked into just a regular old bar, smoky bar, serves cheap beer, like dollar beers? They don't have any craft beer, but they have like the real popular common beers, and they're just cheap. Most of them are disgusting. I mean, let's just be honest. So you've got that, and then walk into a craft beer brewery where the people there, have a lot of passion in brewing their own beer and creating their own beer. So you notice the difference in those 2 environments. And guys, I probably sound like I'm coming off as judgmental. I'm really trying not to, but hey, it is what it is. You got one place where people are just getting loaded. They're just getting hammered. People are starting fights, looking at each other's wives and girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just that kind of environment comes with cheap beer where people are just drinking to get hammered, right? Now we go over to the craft beer brewery where, people might be getting a little tipsy, but you've got an entirely different crowd at the craft beer brewery because, again, you've got people there that are there to enjoy the beer. They generally, like myself and like a lot of you, they generally love just tasting really good beers. So the mentality difference carries over to you, and this mentality over here with craft beer is just to enjoy your beverage and, kick back and have a good time, hang out with some cool people. Where really more over here, it's like, let's just drink. Hey bro, it's dollar beers. We can drink like 20 beers and not leave a tip. I think I only got a 20 anyway. It's completely different, guys. So my point here, if you're drinking the cheap stuff, and I'm sorry if I sound judgmental, I hate to do that, it's really not my personality, but if you're drinking the cheap stuff, I encourage you to switch over to the craft beer, especially if you have a problem, if you're drinking a lot of the cheap stuff. I encourage you to switch over to craft beer. You're not going to drink as much, you're going to enjoy your beverage much more, and it's going to keep you just from going overboard, and it's going to get you in a little bit better mentality. That's just my opinion. That's rule number 1. Jason's rule number 2 of alcohol: schedule your drinking times. Now, this is going to sound really odd, but it's just like my guitar practice. I talk about this in my other videos with the guitar lessons. I tell you guys to schedule your practice times, because if it's not on your calendar, there's a good chance it's not going to happen. Now, reverse that with drinking. If you don't put it on your calendar, or even just mentally, you don't have to write it down, but if you don't mentally say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna have my beers or whatever you're drinking on, on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that's gonna be my beer days. If you don't have that, like in your mental calendar, you may be prone to drink every single day. And that's not something that I feel is really healthy for any of us. Now, if you're one of those people that you can have just 1 or 2 beers every day, or maybe a glass of wine a night, that's one thing. But a lot of us love drinking beer. I love beer. It's really difficult for me just to have 1 or 2 beers. I want to drink like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 or 6 if I'm at home, sitting on the patio on the weekends or something like that. So that being said, I have found that it's good to schedule your drinking days kind of ahead of time, kind of make that mental note up here. It's like, okay, these are the days I'm going to drink, but these days over here, let's say Monday through Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, whatever, those days I'm not going to drink. And that's just going to kind of keep you from going overboard. It's going to keep that really nice balance in life. Jason's rule number 3 of alcohol is alcohol fasting. I know it sounds kind of weird. It doesn't mean drink alcohol fast. So it's like, you do a fast, like a 48-hour fast or 24-hour fast from food. Some people fast from the internet, which that's not a bad thing to fast from. Some people do it with TV and so forth. Actually, I got introduced to this over the summer here. A good friend of mine, her and some of her friends did an entire month of no alcohol, and I think they do this like once a year. Now, I've never taken a month off in the recent years since I've been a responsible drinker. But anyway, I think it is a good idea though to take a break from alcohol, at certain times. And for you, you may be like me, you like to drink on the weekends. And it may be that you say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to fast from alcohol this one weekend. That's enough. And the good thing about this is what you're doing, you're proving to yourself that alcohol or whatever you're fasting from doesn't have control over me. It doesn't control my life. I control it. So that's really the bottom line with fasting in general. I have control over this. It does not have control over me. So alcohol is a really good thing to take a break from every now and then, just to kind of prove that to yourself. Just don't fast from playing your guitar. That's something that you never want to stop doing. Jason's rule number 4 of alcohol, and this ties into the first rule. Remember, I said drink craft beer, not crap beer. So the same rule applies to liquor. Now, I'm not a huge liquor drinker anymore. I used to be, many, many moons ago. I'm more of a craft beer drinker these days. But with liquor, I think it's really crucial to drink the quality stuff, not the cheap stuff. And again, it goes back to that mentality. Okay, I'm drinking quality over here, and I'm enjoying this moment. I'm enjoying the time, the people I'm hanging out with. I'm enjoying the taste, versus drinking the cheap stuff that tastes like crap, and all you're really drinking that is to get drunk, because there's no other reason to drink cheap, crappy liquor. So yeah, it costs more money to go with the good stuff, but you're not going to drink as much of the good stuff as you would, the cheap liquor, because again, there's that difference in mentality. So always go for the good quality stuff when it comes to liquor, if that's the route you choose to go. That is rule number 4. Rule number 5 of Jason's rules of alcohol. Now, these next 3 rules that we're going to go through here, I just spit. Say it, don't spray it, dude. Like, seriously, I saw it. That's gross. I hope I cut that part out of the video. I probably won't. Anyway, so these next 3 rules, we're going a little bit deeper here. Rule number 5, let me look at my notes, is ask yourself why you're drinking. Okay, and I try to do this every time I drink. I know it's kind of a headache. It's like, crap, I gotta ask myself this every freaking time. I just want a beer, dude. No, but really, ask yourself why you're drinking every time you drink. And sometimes when you ask yourself that question, you'd be like, okay, maybe I really don't need to drink right now. And this is gonna kind of lead into the next rule we're gonna talk about, so I'm not gonna say it right now. But no, really, I have found that, when you ask yourself why you're drinking, and most of the time it's just because, hey, I just want a beer. I just want to relax and I want a beer, 2 or 3, or I'm just hanging out with some people tonight. We're social drinkers, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're painting your house and that's probably a good time to crack open some beers or whatever, But just ask yourself, just take 2 seconds, like, okay, why am I drinking right now? Do that before, or why am I going to drink right now? Do that before you pick up that beer. Because again, you may ask yourself and you may come up with some other reasons like, okay, well, this is why I'm drinking. And because of that reason, you might want to pull back the reins and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't drink right now. And again, we're going to get to that in rule number 6 here. But another thing is, for some of us, it just becomes a habit, You ask yourself, well, why am I drinking? It's like, this is just what I do every day at this time. You might want to pull back the reins on that one too. Like say, okay, well, maybe I don't need to drink, right now. So just ask yourself the question, why am I drinking? Why am I drinking right now? Because I'm making a metal and beer video. Okay, that's a good reason. Jason's rule number 6 of alcohol, and again, this kind of ties in what we just talked about, but guys, I'm going to recommend that you do not drink when you're emotional, okay? Because you don't want to have that relation of alcohol tied to a bad time or a sad or depressed time. When you drink, when you're having some beers or you're drinking your liquor or whatever you're drinking, you want to associate that with a good time, with a happy time, or with a relaxing time. If something like a death in the family or breakup or you lose your job or something like that, guys, just leave alcohol out of that mix and deal with that pain head on. Just go through that pain without the alcohol and deal with it head on. I know that sounds kind of brutal and tough, but that's what you have to do, because if you throw alcohol in the mix, you're probably going to drink more than you should, for one. That's, of course, is bad for your body, but it's bad for your mental state as well. And it's just going to mask that pain, right? And it's just going to delay the time that you go through that, right? Because you really need to be sober and you really just deal with that thing, again, as painful as it is. So if you're emotional, don't drink alcohol, okay? Save alcohol for the happy times, the good times, the relaxing times. That's just my 2 cents on emotional drinking. Don't do it. Jason's 7th and final rule of alcohol: accountability and influences, okay? Guys, you have to make sure you're surrounding yourself with good influences, with people that are doing great things with their life, that are pursuing something, that are just really driven and passionate about what they're doing and not getting wasted and hammered all the time. So those two do not mix. I'm going to tell you that now. If you're around driven people that are doing something great, yeah, they may drink, just like you and I do, but they're not going to be drunk all the time, because you can't function when you're drunk all the time. So, if you have those people in your life, I'm going to say something kind of harsh right now, remove yourself from them, or at least limit your time with those people, and don't think that you're going to help each other out. If you're both struggling in that area, guys, sometimes you have to separate yourself from those people, and you have to surround yourself with people that you can be accountable to, and vice versa. Right? But you don't want to be around people that are going to influence you and drag you down to just, drinking the cheap beer and cheap liquor. And, there's nothing wrong with cheap drinks, guys. Please don't misunderstand me. But 90% of the time, the cheap liquor and the cheap beer, the cheap drinks, they're associated with just getting plastered and hammered and wasted. So, you don't want to go that route. That's not going to help you be a better guitar player, for one, right? And it's going to hinder you from so many things that, you really want to be doing with your life. So make sure you surround yourself with awesome people. So I mentioned earlier I would share a little bit of my personal story and my personal experience with alcohol. Many years ago, I had a big problem with alcohol, guys. I was just drinking all the time. I guess I was what you call a functioning alcoholic addict, whatever. I went to work every day and showed up, and I even went to the gym most of the time too. It was crazy, but I had to have alcohol pretty much all the time. I mean, at one point in my life, I was, having drinks in the mornings, and lunch sometimes, in the afternoon, at night. It was just something. I mean, you might as well just hook an IV up to me with alcohol. And of course, I was drinking the cheap stuff because I couldn't afford the expensive stuff. because I was drinking so freaking much. But around the time I met my current wife, I saw the need to clean up my act a little bit. I'm like, okay, I've got this really amazing person in my life, and she deserves better, right? So I started cleaning up my act. But about a year into our relationship, you know, I found myself having a little more than I should one night, and that night happened to be on her birthday. We're at this nightclub, and I started seeing demons and stuff like that. I'm not a mean drunk. I'm like a happy drunk, but sometimes weird things happen too. Anyway, so after that, I decided, you know what? I'm just not going to drink anymore. And I didn't. I didn't touch any alcohol, no beer, no liquor, no nothing for over a year. Okay, so fast forward a little over a year later, we're sitting at her parents' house, who are my in-laws now, and she's like, hey, you know, why don't you have a beer with my dad? And I said, okay, you sure? Okay, I'll do that. Sounds good. And the funny thing is, I really wasn't craving alcohol because I had told myself that this person in my life is far more important than alcohol or really anything. So I had a beer with her dad, and he gave me this beer called Singha. That's a beer from Thailand. You guys know my wife is Thai. So he gave me a Singha beer, and I'm like, wow, this stuff's good. So I made a rule to myself right then and there that I'm only going to drink beer at that point in time. I'm not going to touch liquor because liquor kind of did some different things to me back in those days. But I'm only going to drink beer, and the rule number 2 on top of that was I'm only going to drink good quality beer. Now, I wasn't really introduced to craft beer quite yet. And then after that, as I progressed, I started making some other rules, setting some other guidelines in place, which I think are really important. As I also said, I would touch just a little bit on alcoholism, my thoughts on alcoholism. And a lot of experts will disagree with what I'm about to say. And I am not an expert, so this is just from my personal experience. Having gone through this, you know, having gone through being, I guess, borderline alcoholic, super heavy drinker, had to have it, to being able to take a whole year off, to now I can drink and I can enjoy it without going overboard. I think moderation is key with pretty much anything, you know. Now, there are some people that probably just should not touch alcohol ever. There's some people in the world that have gone through certain things in their life that alcohol is going to trigger things to happen. And those, you know, if you're one of those people and you need to make that decision to just, you know, not be involved with alcohol, that's fine. You should do that. That's good. Or if you really do feel like you have a problem, I will tell you to please get professional help. Please, you know, do that, because, you know, you don't want something to overcome you. You don't want anything, especially alcohol, to rule your life or control you. So do get help. But again, my personal thoughts on alcoholism is, is really the rules that we just went over. You know, you have to set those rules in place in your life to enjoy the alcohol and not let it consume you, not let it control you. And I think moderation is the best key. Things like scheduling your days that you're going to drink. You know, maybe limit how much you're going to drink and limit it to certain types of alcohol. Maybe you need to do away with liquor and just drink quality craft beer. You know, it's kind of my speed these days. I'll have a little glass of whiskey every now and then with my father-in-law, but I'm more of a craft beer drinker these days. I'm very passionate about it, and I love it. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on alcohol in general. Guys, I hope you enjoyed my 7 rules of alcohol. I hope this helps you. I do hope this helps a lot of you out there that, you know, that may need some of these guidelines, and maybe you didn't think about this. You're like, you know what, I think I'm gonna be able to enjoy my alcohol a lot better if I follow Jason's 7 rules, or maybe 3 of them or 4 of them. And again, Joe and everyone at Bay Canyon Beer Company, thank you once again for the Xander Hazy IPA. This is awesome stuff, and thank you guys for the tour. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll be out to see you soon. Guys, thank you so much for watching and all the support, and until the next video, as always, keep it metal.